Hi, this is Matt with AppliancePartsPros.com. Today we'll be showing you how to repair your appliance. Remember, anytime you work on an appliance, make sure it's unplugged or the circuit breakers are off so there's no chance of electrocution. In this video we're going to show you how to change out the Frigidaire dryer heating element assembly. It's going to be a very easy repair and it's only take a few minutes to show you how to do it. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can click on the link below or get it at AppliancePartsPros.com. When you open up the package, you're going to get the new dryer heating element assembly. The dryer heating element assembly is located in the rear of the dryer, and it's what creates the heat to dry the clothes. The main reason to be changing it out is if the element is shorted out and you're not getting any heat. In order to get to the part, we have to remove the top of the dryer. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver and go around back to remove the screws. With the screws out of the way, we can take the top off. All you have to do is pull it back about a half an inch or so and lift it off the dryer and set it aside. With the top off, we can take off the access panel. It's held in by 2 Phillips screws. We're going to reach down there and take them out with our screwdriver. Once you have both screws out, you can pull the access panel out a little bit, let it drop down, and then you can pull it off the machine. With the access panel out of the way, we can remove the 2 screws that hold the bottom of the front panel onto the frame. We can disconnect these 2 wire harnesses that go to the main console. All you have to do is grab each one and press the releases and pull them apart. Once you have them both disconnected, we can feed the ends through this zip tie so we can pull them out through the front. With the wire harnesses disconnected, we're going to remove these 2 screws on each side and then 1 screw down here on each side that holds the front panel in. You want to be careful that you don't drop those down in front. If you do, we're taking the front panel off anyways, so you can get it in a minute. There's 4 retaining clips that hold the front panel on. You notice there's one right below each of the screws we just removed, and then there's one more about a foot down below each one. To release the upper panel retainers, we're going to take a putty knife and stick it through the opening between the front and the cabinet. And then we also have to lift up on this metal piece right here, because as we twist the putty knife to release that clip, we have to lift up this little locking tab. So we're going to lift up a little bit and then twist the putty knife and it should pop out. Once you have that one off, we can go do the one on the other side. You want to be careful because the lower ones will probably come out on their own. If they don't, you can use the putty knife to pop them free. But once they're free, you got to hold the panel up and support it. Once you have the panel totally off, you can set it aside. Now we're on the back side of the dryer. We're going to take off the access panel so we can remove the belt from the pulleys. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to take these screws out. Once you have the screws out, you can swing the panel on its tabs and pull it out and set it aside. With the access panel out of the way, we're going to reach in and grab the idler pulley and move it towards the middle of the drum. That's going to release the tension on the belt so we can reach in and take it off the motor pulley. Now that we have the belt off the pulleys, we can take this drum support off. You're going to lift up on the drum a little bit, and then we're going to use our Phillips screwdriver to take the screw out. Once you have the screw out, you can pull the support out and set the drum down gently. Now we can take the drum out. We're going to use the belt to lift the rear of the drum up about 1 inch or so while we're pulling forward, and that'll pull the ball out of the bearing, and then we can use it to guide it out of the frame. If you want, you can pull the belt off here so you don't get it caught on the frame. And then we're gonna carefully pull the drum out the rest of the way. Once you have the drum out, you can set it out of the way. With the drum out of the way, we have access to the heating element. We're gonna reach down with a small flathead screwdriver and remove these two wires. Remember, the yellow one is on the bottom and the black one is on the top. Oh, looks like they both came off. Now that we have those off, we have to come up a little bit to the top and remove the two wires off the thermostat. On this one, they're double black wires. Doesn't matter which one they go on, it's just a circuit. Now that we're on the back side of the dryer, we can remove these 4 screws with our Phillips screwdriver. As you start to take the last one out, you want to reach inside and hold the old element up so it doesn't fall. Once you have all the screws out, you can pull the heating element out of the dryer. Here's the old heating element next to the new one. If you already have one of these, great. If not, you can get it at appliancepartspros.com. Looks like it's exactly the same, except they added this felt seal, so it will go in and work just fine. To put the new heating element in, all you have to do is lower it down into the cabinet and center it on the bearing in the back and line up the screw holes. Once you have it in place, we can go around the back and put the screw in to hold it in. You want to be careful, there's one big hole and then you have to move it over a little bit and there's a little bit smaller hole. If you go in the bigger hole, the screw's not going to catch. These might be a little bit harder to drive through because the manufacturer doesn't put threads in the heater housing. You just have to drive them through and tighten them down. Putting the other one in, you want to move it around and find your hole. Once you have it lined up, we can put it through. Now they have the element mounted, we can go around the front side and reattach the wires. We're going to reattach the wires to the thermostat first. Remember, on this one, it doesn't matter, they're both black. You just want to make sure you press them down all the way and get a good connection. Then we can go down and reattach the wires to the element itself. When you're reattaching the heating element wires, remember the yellow one was on the bottom and the black one was on the top. You want to make sure you push them all the way on and get a good connection. Now that we have the new heating element installed, we can put the dryer back together. When you're putting the drum back into the dryer, this is the bearing you have to guide it back into. You have to make sure that the ball goes above it and then drops down into it. Also, when you're here, you can look at this bearing. If the plastic part is really worn out and it's very close to the metal, it's to the point that it's going to fail pretty soon. So always check that when you're back here. And if it needs to be changed, make sure you change it now. Otherwise, you'll have to be taking the dryer apart again soon. You also want to check that there's still enough lubricant in the bearing. If not, you want to put some grease in there to keep everything running smoothly. Once you have the drum in front of the dryer, the same way that we took it out, you're going to use the belt to help lift it in, and you're going to guide it through these little cutouts so we can mount it properly. Once you get to this point, you're going to have to let it go and then get it past this part. Then you can use the belt again to help lift it up. Once you have the belt past the support, we can just guide it back into the bearing and set it in place. Once you have the dryer drum back in place, you want to make sure that the belt has its grooves towards the drum, and then we can put the dryer back together. We're going to put in the front support. You're going to have to lift it up a little bit and line the support up, and then we can use our Phillips screwdriver to put the screw in. With the drum support in place, we can go down below and put the belt on. Same as we took it off, we're going to put the belt over the top of the idler pulley and then use that and pull it towards the center of the dryer and loop the belt underneath the motor pulley. Once you have it on there, you can release the idler so it puts tension on the belt. Now that we have the belt in place, we can put the access cover back on and use our Phillips screwdriver to put the screws in. Now we can put the front panel on. First thing we're going to do is line up the blower housing seal down there and then push it up so the retaining clips lock it in place. Once you have the lower retainer started, you're going to have to reach in and lift up on the drum so you can push the panel in the rest of the way. Now that we have the panel mounted, we can put in all the screws and reconnect the wire harnesses. Now we can put the screws in at the bottom. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver and put in the 2 lower screws. Now we can replace the 2 upper screws that go on the inside of the cabinet. There's one on each side right above the clips. We're going to use our Phillips screwdriver again. Again, you want to make sure you're careful with these screws. Use a magnetic tip if you have. Otherwise, if you drop it down there, you're going to have to go fishing for it. Now we can put the 4 screws that go across the top in. All you have to do is line up the holes and tighten them down. Now that we have all the screws in, we can reattach the wire harnesses. First thing we're going to do is feed them through this zip tie that we took them out of earlier. Once you have them both through, we can grab the other ends and match them up and slide them together. There's only one way they can go, so you can't mix them up. All you have to do is press them together so they get a good connection and lock together. Now that we have the wires reconnected up top, we can put the access panel back on. All you have to do is line these pins up with the holes and lift it up into place. And then we can use a Phillips screwdriver to put the screws in. Now that we have the access panel back in place, we can put the top of the dryer on. To put the top back on, you want to very carefully set it down so that the front of it goes right in that groove, and that the little notches are lined up with the tabs on the control panel. And then you can push it forward. With the top in place, we can use our Phillips screwdriver to put in the 2 screws that hold it in place. Now that we have the dryer put back together, we can plug it back in and take it for a spin. Thanks for joining us for another successful repair brought to you by AppliancePartsPros.com. Check out our other repair videos on our site, Facebook, and YouTube.